I need you to understand something before I tell you this story. I'm 63 years old now, and I've seen enough of life to know that betrayal doesn't announce itself with trumpets and warning signs. It walks in through the door you left unlocked, wearing the face of someone you trust, carrying flowers in one hand and a knife in the other, and sometimes it wears your wedding dress. My name is Margaret Louise Crawford, though everyone who loves me calls me Maggie. I'm telling you this story not because I need your pity, but because what happened to me 35 years ago changed everything I understood about family, trust, and what we owe to the people who hurt us most. This is the story of how my younger sister Denise borrowed my wedding dress for what she said was a costume party, and then married my fiancé in it 3 days before my own wedding. This is the story of how I found out, what I did about it, and why all these years later. I'm the one who ended up with everything while she's the one who lost it all. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to 1990. I was 28 years old, working as a nurse at Presbyterian Hospital in the cardiac unit. I'd worked my way through nursing school while caring for our mother who'd been sick for years with emphysema. Denise was 23, 5 years younger, and had always been what people called delicate. She didn't work. She lived at home. She had nerves, which is what our mother called it when Denise would have episodes where she'd cry for days or refuse to leave her room. I was the strong one. I was the one who handled things. And I never questioned why it was always my job to be strong while Denise got to be delicate. I met Thomas at a hospital fundraiser. He was an architect, recently moved to the city from Boston. Confident in that way men are when they've never been given a reason not to be. He was handsome, not movie star handsome, but solid, reliable looking, with thick dark hair and a smile that made you feel like you'd said something clever. He asked me to dance. I said yes. 3 months later, he asked me to marry him in the middle of a restaurant. And I said yes to that too, even though part of me, a small, quiet part, I didn't want to listen to, wondered why he'd chosen me. I wasn't young anymore by 1990 standards. I wasn't glamorous. I was a nurse with practical shoes and split shifts, who smelled like antiseptic and spent most of her free time caring for her dying mother. But Thomas said he loved me because I was real, because I was competent, because when his car broke down on our second date, I didn't complain I called a tow truck, made jokes about fate testing us. I then took him to a diner where we talked until 2 in the morning. You don't fall apart, he said. I need someone who doesn't fall apart. And I felt proud of that. I felt chosen for all the right reasons. We set a wedding date for June 15th. I'd saved for years for a proper wedding, not something big, but something nice. A church ceremony, a reception at the country club, a dress that made me feel beautiful for the first time in my adult life. That dress, God, that dress. It was silk ivory with delicate lace sleeves and a train that whispered when I walked. It cost more than 3 months of my salary, and I didn't care. I'd spent my entire 20s taking care of other people. This dress was mine. Denise came with me when I bought it. She tried it on after I did, just to see what it feels like, she said, twirling in front of the mirror. The saleswoman laughed and said, "Maybe you'll be next." Denise's smile faltered for just a second, so quick I almost missed it. Then she laughed too and said, "Maybe." I remember thinking it was sweet that she was happy for me. I remember not seeing what was right in front of me. 3 weeks before the wedding, our mother died. It wasn't unexpected. She'd been declining for months, but it still hit like a truck. I found her in the morning before my shift. She'd gone peacefully in her sleep, which is what everyone says to make it sound gentle. As if death is ever gentle when it takes your mother. I called Denise. She screamed so loud I thought the phone would shatter. She couldn't come to the house, couldn't see the body, couldn't handle any of the arrangements. So I did it. I called the funeral home, met with the pastor, chose the casket, wrote the obituary. I held Denise while she sobbed. I told her it would be okay. I was strong. That's what I did. The funeral was on a Tuesday. Thomas was there, solid and supportive, holding my hand during the service. Denise collapsed twice, once during the eulogy and once at the graveside, and had to be held up by 2 of our cousins. People whispered about how hard she was taking it, how sensitive she was, how tragic. No one mentioned that I was the one who'd watched our mother die, who'd handled everything, who hadn't cried once because crying felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. After the funeral, people came back to our mother's house, the house Denise and I had grown up in, the house I'd been planning to sell after the wedding. We served ham sandwiches and coffee. People told stories about Mama. Denise lay on the couch with a cold compress on her forehead, while I cleaned up plates and accepted condolences. Thomas left early. He had a client meeting he couldn't reschedule. "I'm sorry, Mag," he said, kissing my forehead. "You're handling this so well. You're amazing." Wanted to scream at him that I didn't want to handle it well. I wanted to fall apart. I wanted someone else to be strong for once. But I smiled and said, "It's fine. Go. I'll be okay." 'Cause that's who I was. The one who was always okay. That night, after everyone left, Denise came into the kitchen where I was washing dishes. Her eyes were red and swollen. "Maggie," she said softly, "can I ask you something?" "Of course. My friend Bethany is having a costume party this weekend. A 1950s theme. And I know this is crazy timing, but I don't have anything to wear, and I thought—" She trailed off, biting her lip. "Thought what?" "Could I borrow your wedding dress? Just for the party. I'd be so careful with it. It's just with Mama gone and everything, so Sadai needs something to look forward to. Something happy." I should have said no. Every instinct I had screamed no. But I was exhausted, grieving. And Denise looked so hopeful, so fragile. Like if I said no, she might shatter. "A costume party," I repeated. "Just for Saturday night. I'll bring it back Sunday morning. I promise, Maggie. I'll take perfect care of it." I looked at her, my baby sister, who our mother had always called special, who'd never learned to take care of herself because I'd always done it for her. And I said yes. "Okay, but you have to dry clean it before you return it. And be careful. That dress is important to me." "I will. I promise." "Thank you, Maggie. You're the best sister in the world." She hugged me and I hugged her back, and I felt like I'd done something good, something kind. I felt like a good sister. Saturday came and went. Sunday morning, Denise didn't bring the dress back. I called her. No answer. I called again and again. By Sunday afternoon, I was worried. By Sunday evening, I was panicked. I drove to our mother's house. Niece was still living there temporarily. Her car was gone. The house was dark. I let myself in with my key and went to her room. The dress wasn't there. Most of her clothes were gone. On her dresser, there was an envelope with my name on it in Denise's looping handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. The letter inside was short. "Maggie, I'm sorry. I know you'll hate me for this, but I couldn't help it. Thomas and I are in love. We've been seeing each other for 3 months. We tried to stop, but we couldn't. We're getting married today in Maryland. I'm wearing your dress because it's the most beautiful dress I've ever seen, and because I wanted to feel like a bride. I know this hurts you, but you're strong. You'll be okay. You always are. Please forgive me someday. Love, Denise." I've read it 3 times. Then I sat on her bed and stared at the wall for what might have been hours or minutes. My mind couldn't process the words into meaning. Thomas, 3 months. In love. Married today. "Your dress." The phone rang. I answered without thinking. "Maggie, it's Carol." Carol was one of our cousins. "I just heard the strangest thing from Aunt Ruth, and I thought you should know. She said she saw Denise and Thomas at the courthouse in Silver Spring yesterday. Together, dressed like they were, Maggie. She said they looked like they were getting married. But that can't be right, can it? You're marrying Thomas next week." "I have to go," I said, and hung up. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember calling the church, the country club, the guests. I know I did because later people told me I sounded calm, professional. Like I was canceling a dentist appointment, not a wedding. Thomas called that night. I didn't answer. He called 15 times. I unplugged the phone. On Monday, I went to work. I took vital signs, administered medications, charted patient progress. I was an excellent nurse, reliable, competent, strong. During my lunch break, went to the bathroom and vomited until there was nothing left. Then I washed my face, reapplied my lipstick, and went back to work. Tuesday. The hospital administrator called me into her office. "Maggie, I heard about what happened. I'm so sorry. If you need time off, I don't," I said. "Thank you." She looked at me with concern and pity. I hated both. "Are you sure you're okay?" "I'm fine," I said, and I meant it. Or I thought I did. I'd been fine through every crisis in my life. I'd be fine through this one too. Thomas came to my apartment on Wednesday. I didn't let him in. We talked through the door. "Maggie, please let me explain." "Explain what? That you've been fucking my sister for 3 months? That you married her in my wedding dress 3 days before you were supposed to marry me?" "What exactly needs explanation, Thomas? It just happened. We didn't plan it. We tried to stop." "Did you love me?" I asked. "What? When you proposed?" "When you said you loved me because I was real and competent and I didn't fall apart. Did you actually love me? Or did you just need someone to manage your life while you waited for something better?" Silence. "Then it wasn't like that. Leave. Maggie, leave Thomas and take Denise. Take your marriage, take everything. Just leave me alone." He left. I heard his footsteps receding down the hallway. I heard his car start. I heard my life as I'd imagined it drive away. That night I did something I hadn't done once since my mother died. I cried, not delicate tears, not grief that looked beautiful or sympathetic. I cried like an animal on the floor of my bathroom with sounds coming out of me that I didn't recognize. I cried until I couldn't breathe, until my ribs ached, till I thought I might actually die from the sheer pain of it. And then I stopped. I got up, I washed my face. I looked at myself in the mirror, red-eyed, swollen, broken, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to fall apart. Not permanently. Not where anyone could see. I was going to survive this. And more than that, I was going to make sure that Denise and Thomas's betrayal cost them more than it cost me. I know that sounds vindictive. Maybe it was. But here's what I understood in that bathroom at 28 years old. With my life in pieces, people like Denise and Thomas take what they want from people like me because we let them. Because we're strong and we'll be okay and we handle things. They calculated, maybe not consciously, but they calculated that I would absorb the damage. That I would be hurt but functional. That I wouldn't fight back. They were wrong. Over the next 6 months, I became a different version of myself. Not broken, reformed. I sold my mother's house and split the proceeds with Denise. 'Cause legally I had to. But I hired a lawyer who made sure she understood every dollar came with documentation. I filed a claim with the bridal shop about the dress. Thomas had technically stolen property worth $3,000. The shop sided with me. I pursued it in small claims court. I won. Thomas had to pay me back plus court costs. I canceled the wedding reception but kept the deposits because the contracts were in my name and cancellations required 60 days notice, which we didn't have because Denise and Thomas had gotten married in secret. I billed Thomas for half. He paid probably to avoid more legal action. I found out through the family grapevine that their marriage was already struggling. Turns out that when your relationship is built on betrayal and stolen moments, it doesn't translate well into paying bills and deciding whose turn it is to take out the trash. Denise missed our mother desperately. She'd never lived alone, never managed a household, never had to be competent. Thomas, it turned out, had fallen in love with the idea of rescuing a damsel in distress, but the reality of being married to someone who needed constant emotional support exhausted him. He'd loved me because I didn't need him. He'd married Denise because she did. Neither turned out the way he wanted. I didn't date for 2 years. I focused on work. I went back to school and got my nurse practitioner license. I bought my own house. Small 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood with the money from selling my mother's place and my share of assets. I joined a book club, started running, learned to play piano. I built a life that didn't have a Denise-shaped hole in it or a Thomas-shaped one either. 3 years after the betrayal, I met Richard, who's a physician, recently divorced, with 2 teenage daughters and enough emotional scars that he didn't expect perfection from anyone. We dated slowly, carefully. I told him the story of Thomas and Denise on our 4th date. "That's brutal," he said. "How did you survive it?" "I decided to," I said simply. "We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony, immediate family only. I wore a pale blue dress because I didn't want white anymore. White felt like something I'd lost the right to, even though logically I knew that was ridiculous." Richard held my hand during the vows and whispered, "You're safe with me." And I believed him. And I was right to dot Denise and Thomas divorced after 5 years. The papers cited irreconcilable differences, which is code for we destroyed our lives for a fantasy, and now we hate each other. Thomas moved back to Boston. I heard he remarried, had kids, got divorced again. I didn't keep track. Denise spiraled. Without our mother, without me to take care of her, without Thomas's initial infatuation to sustain her, she fell apart in all the ways I never had. She moved between apartments, between relationships, between jobs that never lasted. She developed a drinking problem. She'd call me sometimes, late at night, crying. "Maggie, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. I miss you." I didn't answer. For 10 years, I didn't answer. People judged me for that. Our extended family, especially. "She's your sister," Aunt Ruth said at a family funeral we both attended. "She made a mistake. You need to forgive her." "I've forgiven her," I said calmly. "But forgiveness doesn't mean I have to let her back into my life." "That's not very Christian," Aunt Ruth sniffed. "Neither was sleeping with my fiancé and stealing my wedding dress," I replied. "But here we are. Aunt Ruth didn't bring it up again." Denise hit rock bottom at 41. I got a call from a hospital in Baltimore. She'd been found unconscious in her apartment, overdosed on pills and alcohol. Not a suicide attempt, the doctor said. More like self-medication gone wrong. She listed me as her emergency contact. "Are you coming?" the doctor asked. I sat with that question for a long moment. Part of me thought old Maggie, the strong one, the one who handled things, wanted to say yes immediately. But another part, the part that had learned to protect itself, said, "No, I'm not coming. But I'll pay for her treatment. Transfer her to the best facility you have. Make sure she gets help. But I'm not coming." I did pay, set up a trust. That covered her rehab, her therapy, her halfway house expenses. But I didn't visit, I didn't call. I made sure she survived, but I didn't rescue her. Because I'd finally learned the difference. Denise got sober. Took 3 tries, 2 relapses, and 4 years. But she did it. Got a job at a library. She got her own apartment. She started going to AA meetings. She sent me letters, actual handwritten letters, apologizing. Not asking for anything. Just saying the words. I read them. I didn't respond. But I read them. Then, last year, at age 63 and 68 respectively, something changed. My husband Richard had a stroke. Not a massive one, but enough to scare us both. Enough to make me realize that life is shorter than we think and grudges are heavy, and maybe, just maybe, I'd carried this one long enough. I called Denise. She answered on the first ring. "Maggie," her voice was older, hoarse, careful. "Hello, Denise." Silence. Then, "Is everything okay?" "Richard had a stroke. He's okay, but I don't know. I wanted to tell someone. And you're my sister." She started crying. Not the dramatic collapsing tears from our youth. Quiet tears. "I'm so sorry. About Richard. About everything. About all of it, Maggie. I'm so sorry. I know. Can I do anything?" "Actually," I said, surprising myself, "maybe you could visit. When Richard's feeling better, we could have coffee." "I'd like that," she said. "I'd really like that." She came 2 weeks later. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our homes. She looked old. We both did. 63 and 68 with gray hair and soft middles and faces that told stories without saying words. We talked about small things first. The weather, her job, my work, Richard's recovery, and then, slowly, we talked about bigger things. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said. "I know what I did was unforgivable." "I forgave you years ago," I said. "What I couldn't do was trust you, or let you hurt me again." "That's fair. But I'm tired, Denise. I'm 63 years old. You're 68. Thomas is gone. Mama's gone. We're all that's left, and I don't want to die angry." She reached across the table and took my hand. Her palm was dry and warm. "I don't deserve your kindness," she said. "Maybe not," I agreed, "but I deserve peace. So I'm choosing it. We see each other now, not often. Once a month, maybe. We have lunch. We talk about our lives. She's met Richard, who treats her with polite kindness but no intimacy. He knows the history, knows what she did, and he protects me by keeping a boundary she respects. She doesn't ask for more than I can give. She doesn't make herself my problem. She's learned, finally, to be responsible for herself. Last month, she brought something to lunch wrapped in tissue paper. "I want you to have this," she said, handing it to me. I unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a photo in a silver frame. The photo showed Denise in my wedding dress, standing next to Thomas in a courthouse, both of them smiling. "Why would you give me this?" I asked, confused, hurt. She looked me in the eye. "Because I need you to see what I destroyed. Not just your wedding, not just your dress, but look at my face in that photo, Maggie. Really look." I did, and I saw it. She wasn't happy. She was triumphant. She'd won. She'd taken something I wanted, and that victory meant more to her than the man she was marrying. "I didn't love him," she said quietly. "I loved winning. I loved being chosen over you for once. And by the time I realized that, it was too late. I'd destroyed everything for a feeling that lasted about 6 months. Why are you telling me this now? Because you need to know it wasn't about you being unworthy. It was about me being broken. You were always the strong one, the capable one, the one everyone loved. And I was jealous. So jealous, it poisoned me. And I hurt you because I wanted to feel powerful for once in my pathetic life." I looked at the photo, at her triumphant smile, at Thomas's clueless expression, at my wedding dress, which she'd returned to me 6 months later, stained and torn. "What do you want me to do with this?" I asked. "Whatever you want," she said. "Burn it. Keep it. Use it to remember that you survived someone who tried to destroy you. Use it to remember that you're the one who ended up okay." I took the photo home. I showed it to Richard. "What are you going to do with it?" he asked. "I don't know yet," I said. "It's sitting on my desk now as I record this story. I've looked at it every day for a month trying to decide, and I think I'm going to keep it. Not because I want to remember the pain, but because I want to remember who I became after it. The woman who didn't fall apart. The woman who built a life worth living out of the ruins of someone else's betrayal. The woman who learned that being strong doesn't mean absorbing. Damage yet means knowing when to walk away and when to. Come back on your own terms." Denise borrowed my wedding dress and married. My fiancé in it 35 years ago? She thought she was taking something from me. But here's what she actually did. She freed me from a man who would have made me miserable. From a marriage built on his need for someone to manage his life. From a family dynamic where I was always the strong one and she was always the victim. She gave me, accidentally, cruelly, thoughtlessly, the push I needed to become someone who didn't just survive, but lived. Would I have chosen this pain? No. Would I trade the life I have now to undo it? Also, no. I've been married to Richard for 30 years. I have stepchildren who call me on my birthday. I have a career I'm proud of. I have a self I built brick by brick, from the ground up. Denise lives in a 1-bedroom apartment with furniture from IKEA, and a 10-year sobriety chip and the knowledge that she threw away her life for a feeling. She didn't win. She never won. She just convinced herself she had because the truth that she destroyed us both for nothing was too heavy to carry. And now, at 68, sober and alone and trying to make amends, she finally understands that. The wedding dress is long gone. I threw it away months after she returned it stained with wine, torn at the hem, smelling of cigarettes and regret. But the betrayal lives in family legend. It's the story people tell at reunions, whispering eyes wide. Did you hear about Denise and Thomas? Did you hear what she did? And here's the thing nobody asks. How did Maggie end up okay? How did she survive it? How is she the one telling this story with peace in her voice and a husband in the next room and a life that looks like contentment? The answer is simple and complicated. I decided survival wasn't enough. Wanted to live. I decided that other people's betrayal didn't get to define me. I decided that being strong meant protecting myself, not just enduring pain. I decided that forgiveness looks like me choosing peace, not Denise earning it. And that's what nobody tells you about betrayal. It doesn't destroy you if you don't let it. It just reveals who you are when everything else is stripped away. My sister borrowed my wedding dress and married my fiancé in it, expecting me to fall apart. Instead, I stood up, walked away, and built a life so full she couldn't haunt it. That's not just survival. That's victory. And I won it all by myself.